Now to news coming out of Capitol Hill. President Donald Trump gives Ukraine until next Thursday to agree to his administration's plan to end Russia's war. The proposal requires Ukraine to give up land to Russia while limiting the size of its military going forward. Many of the ideas in this plan appear to be ones Ukrainian and European officials rejected in previous negotiations. Ukraine's president says that he will present alternatives to the plan.
I will present arguments, I will persuade, I will offer alternatives, but we will definitely not give the enemy any reason to say that Ukraine does not want peace.
U.S. officials said any final agreement would require concessions from both sides. For now, the plan has not been finalized.